Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala, amma ba'du. Then we continue with Surah Al-Bayyinah. Yesterday we tried to complete Surah Al-Qadr as well as Surah Al-Bayyinah, but we were only able to get through the meanings in the tafsir of Surah Al-Bayyinah. So left with us is the i'rab, or the Arabic grammar, or why the words are the way they are in the sentences. So we'll begin inshallah, and then we'll try to cover Surah Al-Alaq. Surah Al-Alaq. And I think we should be able to do that. Bismillah. Surah Al-Alaq, Surah Al-Bayyinah, as we said, Bayyina comes from ba ya noon, like the word bayna, to be between something, or as we say here, the clear evidence or the clarification. Bayan, bayyina. And we talked about the relationship between them yesterday, right? And that bayyina means clear evidence or clear and between. And we said if there's a street between two houses, then this house is clearly different from that house because there's a street. Whereas if there are two houses right next to each other, you might say maybe that's one house. And if one was made of brick and one was made of siding, you say, well, maybe the other one was an add-on. It still might be one house. But if we put a gangway or a sidewalk or a street in between them, it's clear, bainahuma, it'd be clear that they are two different houses, right? So that's the relationship. Bayyinati mudaf ilay majroor. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة. Lam is a harf nafi. والجزم وقلب. Lam is a harf nafi, it negates, and it makes the verb that it negates majzoom, and it makes the present tense meaning the past tense. It takes the present tense and turns its meaning into the past tense. That's what we mean by qalb. We say harf nafi meaning negation, wa jazm meaning makes it majzoom, wa qalb. And the purpose of all these is negation, making it majzoom, and turning it from past tense to present tense, right? Qalb, like the word heart, because the heart beats. It constantly fluctuates. So it basically, like it turns it over from past to present tense. Yakun was originally yakunu, but because it became majzoom, we had to drop our weak letter, right? We had to drop our weak letter. So it is majzoom. That kasra on the noon is for preventing two sukoons from being together, or as I've said in the past, for reading purposes, right? Yakun alladhina. Lam yakun. Alladhina is a ismu mawsul, right? A connecting word or connecting noun. And it is in the position of being marfu' because it is ismu inna. Even though it is ismu mawsu' mabni ala fatha. Alladhina is always going to be alladhina. It's never going to be alladhinu, alladhini. It's always going to be mabni ala fatha. Alladhina. But here it's in a position of being fi mahal marfu' because, or fi mahal raf, because it is ismu kana. Right? Kafaru is a past tense verb. Past tense verb. The fa'il, whenever we have a verb, we have to look for the fa'il. The fa'il here is the wow. Right? The fa'il is the wow. Right? That is showing us who did it. Right? Kafaru. Right? Fil madi, mabni ala damma. It has that kafaru. Why is it mabni ala damma? Because of the attachment of the wow, which is the fa'il. Right? Kafaru. Min is a harf jar, is a a preposition making the noun following it majroor. Ahli ismu majroor with the kasra, as we can see. Ahl kitab mudaf mudaf ilayh. Kitab is majroor with a kasra, as we can see. Right? As we can see. Wal mushrikeen. Wal mushrikeen. Mushrikeen is the majroor form of mushrikun. Mushrikun. But because it became majroor, because of the min, right? Because of the min, it became mushrikeen. So it's majroor with a ya. With a ya here, right? And the noon shows us that it is, right? The noon shows us that it is plural, right? Mushrikuna, mushrikina. طيب. The khabaru kana is basically going to be, because alladhina, as we said, is ismu kana. Kafaru is going to be your khabaru kana, right? Kafaru, even though here it says that there is no khabar. Let me look over here real quick. Trying to see. No, it says la mahal fil i'rab. Doesn't have a position here. Munfakina. Munfakina, as we said, means to be separated, coming from fa kaf. We talked about that yesterday. Here, munfakina. Here is a. Oh, here's the khabar. Asif. This is the khabar. This is the khabar. Right? I didn't say what the khabar didn't say it. Alladhina. Basically, alladhina, those. Right? Lam yakun alladhina kafaru min ahl al-kitab. This is basically a phrase. Min ahl al-kitab al-mushrikeen, describing alladhina. Munfakina is your khabaru kana. Is your khabaru kana, and therefore it is mansub with a ya. It was originally munfakuna, right? Munfakuna, but it became mansub because it is the khabaru kana. Nam khabaru kana mansub, right? Hatta is a harf ghaya, right? Meaning, showing us until, meaning until, and it makes it, when it has the meaning of until, it makes the words following it majroor. Makes the words following it majroor. Hatta, if it was a noun. Hatta ta'tiyahum. Here it's making the verb mansub. If it was a verb, if it was a noun following hatta, it would make the noun majroor. But since it's a verb here, it's making the verb mansub. Ta'tiyahum. Hatta ta'tiyahum. Ta'ti is the present tense verb. Ta'ti, to come. Right? And it is, right, mansub because of an. And this is where it gets complicated. If you remember in Nahul Wadi, we originally skipped that chapter because we said after hatta there's an an, which is mudmara, meaning it is implied, right, that is not there. But without knowing the Arabic in great detail, the language, then it's difficult to know that that's what it is. And some of the scholars say hatta itself makes it mansub. Anyway, hatta and ta'ti, right? It's mansub. And so we see the ya on the ya. Ta'tiya. Hatta ta'tiya hum. Because they say there is an an, which is mudmara, right? Which is implied here. Hatta ta'tiya hum. Hum here is the a damir, a pronoun which is attached, and it is the maf'ulun bihi. It's in a position of being the maf'ulun bihi until there comes to them, right? There comes to them, right? Meaning to where goes to what? To them. Hum al-bayyinah. Al-bayyinah is your fa'il, meaning this is what's doing the coming. That's why we have this ta in the beginning, because bayyinah is feminine with the ta marbud at the end. So ta'tiyahum, not ya'ti. Ya'ti, like it is coming for something masculine, but ta'tiyahum. Bayyinah. Bayyinah is your file, marfu' with the dhamma, which is apparent. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Any questions?
You're going to explain it later, right?
What do you mean?
The translation and stuff.
We did that yesterday.
Oh, okay.
That on this one we did it yesterday. We did it yesterday. First we started doing just the translation, and then points of benefit from the tafsir, and then the i'rab.
Okay.
So that it wouldn't be complicated.
That would be the bayyinah gonna come first.
Until the bayyinah comes to them, right? Or came to them, because this lam makes it in the past tense. Until the bayyinah came to them, meaning the clear evidence came to them. Rasulun min Allah yatlu suhufan mutahhara. The ayat, the first ayat, meaning in general, without looking at a translation, just looking at the Arabic here, that the people of those who disbelieve from the people of the book and the polytheists did not separate. Munfakina, they did not become separate hatta, until there came to them clear evidence, meaning they were all together on their kufr, right, amongst their own groups, and together on their kufr until there came to them the clear evidence. Rasulun min Allah yatlu suhufan mutahhara, a messenger. What is that clear evidence? A messenger from Allah, reciting to them clear or evident, pure suhufan, a book or pages, reciting to them pure pages, right? Rasul is a badal, is a substitute for al-bayyinah. It's describing what that bayyinah is. What is that clear evidence? What is that clarification? It is rasulun. It is a messenger. Min Allahi. Since it's a badal and bayyinah is your fa'il, it's marfu'. The badal is going to be marfu'. Min Allahi. Min Allahi. Min harf jar. Allah, lafdul jalala, ismu majroor, with the obvious kasra there, right? This fatha here is for reading purposes, for preventing the two sukoons from meeting with one another. Yatlu. Yatlu is a present tense verb. Fil mudari. Marfu'. Right? There's nothing in front of it to change why it should be marfu'. And its sign is that it is a dhamma, but that dhamma is difficult to say. If you were to say yatluwu, yatluwu is difficult. So the dhamma there is muqaddara, yatlu, because of the difficulty to pronounce it. Fil mudari marfu' bi dhamma muqaddara. Suhufan. Suhufan is the maf'ulun bihi. What is he reciting? He's reciting pages. Suhuf. He's reciting pages. And the sign of its being the maf'ulun bihi, mansub, is the obvious fatha. Mutahhara is a sifa. It's a na'at of suhuf, right? And it is therefore going to be mansub like it with the fathas, right? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I'll open the mic. Are there any questions about the second ayah?
No.
Fiha kutubun qayyima. Fiha kutubun qayyima. Yesterday we said kutub does not mean books here. It means laws. It means laws, right? It means laws and regulations, right? Fiha, fi, harf jar, ha, damir muttasal. It's an attached pronoun in a position of being majroor. Even though it's mabni ala sukoon, it has the sukoon on that alif there. It's always going to have that alif there. It's never going to change from ha or ha'a, ha'u, ha'i. No, it's always going to be ha. However, it's in a position of being majroor after the harf jar. فيها كتب قيمة. Kutub is your mubtada, right? Is your mubtada. Kutub is your mubtada. Mubtada is always marfu' with a dhamma. Qayyima, qayyima is a sifa for kutub. So therefore it's going to be marfu', just like its noun that it's describing. This is your mubtada. Fiha is your khabar. Qayyima meaning straight or straightforward, upright laws are in it. Upright laws are in it. But here the khabar was brought ahead of time to show you in that book there are upright laws. It's not emphasizing the laws, it's emphasizing that book or those suhuf, right? Those suhuf, those pages, right? That's why it was, and that's one of the reasons why it was brought forward. وما تفرق الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلا من بعد ما جاءتهم البينة. وما, wa is harf atf, meaning and, right? Ma here is a ma of nafi, a negation. It's a negation. Tafarraqa meaning to separate, to divide into groups. Fa ra qaf, right? Farraqa. وما تفرق is a fil madi. It's a past tense verb, mabni ala fatha, as we can see there. وما تفرق, and they did not divide into groups or separate. الذين ismu mawsul, because it is the file. Who did not separate? الذين. It is mabni ala fatha because it's ismu mawsul, mabni ala fatha. However, it's in a position of being marfu' because it is the file, right? وَمَا تَفَرَّقَ الَّذِينَ, and they did not separate. الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابِ. Utu is a fil madi. It's a past tense verb, and it is majhul, as we explained yesterday. It is majhul, meaning passive. They didn't give the book, they didn't give the book utul kitab. Rather, they were given the book, right? They were given the book, and it is utu, right? Is as we said, fil madi, past tense verb, majhul, right? Al kitab, and again, there's a lot of stuff that we can explain, but just not to make it difficult. This should be a dhamma on that wow, but because of utuwu is difficult, they don't say it. So it's a dhamma muqaddara, right? Utul kitab. Utul kitab. Al-kitab is the maf'ulun bihi. It's the maf'ulun bihi. وَمَا تَفَرَّقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابِ. They were given what? They were given the book, right? They were given the book. Who is given it? Where is the na'ib fa'il? Where is the na'ib fa'il? Someone might be asking, we usually when we have, for instance, if we say Duriba Ahmed, Duriba Ahmedu, right? We don't know who hit Ahmed, but we know Ahmed was hit. And we said that Ahmed becomes the na'ib al-fa'il, and it is marfu'. When normally, if we said Shakir Daraba Ahmed, Ahmed would be mansub. Why? Because it's the object of the verb. But when I say Ahmed was hit, then he becomes like the subject, even though he's still the object of the hitting. But because it's unknown who did it, he becomes the subject of it. Same thing in English we said. So where is that? That is built into this wow, showing us who was given the book. They were given the book, right? This wow shows us the plurality. Remember, we said that we have kataba, right? He wrote, right? He is built into this. Katabat, right? She is built into that, right? Katabu, for instance, katabu, right? They are built into there with that wow al-jama'. We always have to have who did a verb. When we have a verb, we have to know who did it. If I say kataba, you're going to translate that how? He wrote. How do you know he wrote it? Because he is implied. It's written in there. If I say katabat, you're going to translate as what? She wrote. Why? Because of the ta ta'nitha sakina. When I say katabu, right? You're going to say what? What does that mean? You're going to say they wrote. How do you know that's they? Because of the waw jama'. Right? So who was given the book? This waw jama' was given the book. They were given. They were given what? Al-Kitab. Maf'ulun bihi. Mansub. Right? They were given the book. Right? وَمَا تَفَرَّقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ. They did not separate they did not divide those who were given the book, illa, except. Illa is a particle of restriction here, right? It comes after a negation, this ma, and it means anything after it is the only reason for what came before it. Illa min harf jar, ba'di ismu majroor, with the obvious kasra here. Ma, right? Ma is basically masdariya zamaniya. It's basically showing when this happened. Ma is basically illa min ba'di ma, except after when what is basically showing a time, right? Ma here is a masdar showing time. Ja'at hum. Ja'at, right, is your fi'l madi. Ja'a, and it's mabni ala fatha because of the ta'nitha sakina, which is attached to it. Ja'at hum al-Bayyinah. Ja'at hum is the maf'ulun bihi, even though it is mabni ala sukun. It's mabni ala sukun, right? It's the maf'ulun bihi. What? It came to them. They're the object of who it came to. And the dhamma that's on there that I covered up with that sukoon is therefore protecting the two sukoons from meeting each other. Otherwise, it's normally hum. Al-Bayyinah again is your file, marfu' with a dhamma. Except that after there came to them the bayyinah, the clear evidence. So the people of the book did not divide until there came to them the clear evidence. Meaning some of them believed and some of them disbelieved. Any questions?
No.
وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ حُنَفَاءَ وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَذَلِكَ الدِّينُ الْقَيِّمَةُ. And they were not commanded, وَمَا أُمِرُوا, and they were not commanded, إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا, except to worship. Worship who? Worship Allah. مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ, being sincere to Him in the religion. حُنَفَاءَ, being upon the pure Hanif way, right? وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ, and to establish the salah and give the zakat. وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ, and that is the straight religion. So he says, وَمَا, here we are again. وَمَا, wa harf atf, meaning and, wa is a nafi, just like in the ayat above it. Umiru is a passive, is a fil madi, passive. It's a past tense verb, which is passive, right? Majhul, right? Umiru, who was commanded? For instance, we know that Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one commanded. So if we said, Amarahum Allah, Amarahum Allah, we say Allah commanded them. Hum here would be what? It would be your maf'ulun bihi. He commanded who? He commanded them. Allah would be your file. So here we don't have that it is Allah doing the commanding. It's majhul. So we say umiru. Umiru. Umir or umiru is your fil madi majhul. Who is your na'ib file? This wow. They were commanded. Right? It becomes like we said, like the subject, because it is majhul. And they were commanded. Or they were not commanded. Illa. What were they not commanded? They weren't told to do anything except illa, which as we said is a particle of hasr, of restriction. Right? It is a restriction. It doesn't have any effect on what comes after it. Right? لِيَعْبُدُوا. The lam is a lam ta'lil, the lam of reason. Why? He's given a reason. What were they commanded, or why were they commanded, and with what? Right? يَعْبُدُوا fil mudari. Right? The lam ta'lil makes it mansoob. So we drop our noon. The sign of it being mansoob is the dropping of the noon. لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Originally was يَعْبُدُونَ, but we dropped the noon because of the lam. Right? لِيَعْبُدُوا. يَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ. Allah, lafzul jalala, is the maf'ulun bihi, mansoob, with the obvious fatha there. مُخْلِصِينَ. مُخْلِصِينَ. Why is this mansoob? It could be majroor, but there's nothing in front of it to make it majroor. So we have to say it's mansoob. Why is it mansoob? Because it is our hal, our condition. It is our condition. And when someone does something in a way, what is the reason? It's describe how he did it, why he did it. Then this is your hal, mukhlisina, being sincere. So it is mansoob with a ya. Lahu, mukhlisina lahu. La is a harf jar. Ha is a damir, it's a pronoun which is attached in a position of being majroor, even though it's mabni ala dhamma. Right? Ad-deen is your maf'ulun bihi to your ismu fa'il. Mukhlisina. Right? The ismu fa'il here, mukhlisin, it's the noun of the one doing it, right? The noun of the one doing it. Then it can have, according to some of the people, it can have a maf'ulun bihi, right? This how he's doing it, why he's doing it. He's doing it in the religion. It's for what? For what reason? For the religion. That's a little bit complicated, but that's the reason that is there as a maf'ulun bihi to mukhlisin, even though there's no obvious fi'l there, right? Allah knows best. I can't describe anything better than that at this point. Give me 1 second. I'll see if I can find something on it over here. What ayat are we on? What ayat is this? Number 5, huh? No.
No.
Oh, yeah, let me see if I can find a better way. Deen, maf'ulun bihi, ismu fa'il, makhlusin, أو منصوب على نزل الخافض أو نائب عن مفعول مطلق. Yeah, that's the bad. I mean, it's the same thing over here. It's just mukhlisina can have it is called ismu fa'il, the one doing it, and it can have an implied verb. So therefore, it can have an implied, or it can have a explicit maf'ulun bihi object. So who are they? The reason, or why are they doing it? In the religion. For him, in the religion, right? And Allah knows best. Hunafa is your second hal. That is why we see this fatah here, for being mansoob, right? Because it is the second hal. They are doing it sincerely, and they are doing it hunafa. They are doing it being on the pure way. Hanif, as we said, is the pure way of all the prophets, right? The way of Ibrahim and other than him, the pure way, like the word religion, kind of, like the word deen, like the word millah, right? Hunafa, this pure way. And me and another brother, and we're going to try to get some other brothers involved, are trying to put together maybe a handbook for translators. And it's going to take 20 years to make or more, but difficult words to translate, this being one of them. Hanif or Hunafa is a very difficult word to translate. وَيُقِيمُ الصَّلَاةَ wa is a harf atf, right? يُقِيمُ is a fil mudari, is a present tense verb, and it is mansoob. Why is it mansoob? Because we're going back to this lam ta'lil. This, why were they? To worship Allah. وَلِيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ, and to establish the salat. So it is it is mansub, and the sign of it being mansub is the dropping of the noon. Yuqimu, to establish what? As-salat, maf'ulun bihi, mansub with a fatha. Wa yu'tu, and to give what? Yu'tuna. But because of the lam ta'lil here, and to give, the reason of it, and to give a zakat, right? This is mansub, the sign of it being mansub is the dropping of the noon. And zakat is again the maf'ulun bihi for yu'tuna. وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ was harf atf, right? ذَلِكَ is a mubtada, right? It is a mubtada, right? Even though it's mabni ala fatha. ذَلِكَ, it's always going to be ذَلِكَ, not ذَلِكُ or ذَلِكِ, unless this cat is changed for some reason, right? It could be ذَلِكِ, as we see sometimes in the Quran. But that's because it's a different kaf here, right? So it's mabni ala fatha. Because it's the mubtada fi mahal raf. ذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ. Deen is your khabar, marfu', right? And qayyima is mudaf ilay, majroor with a kasra. Any questions? Don't ask me about that deen. طيب. إن الذين كفروا. إن الذين كفروا. Inna, as we know, is a harf nasikh. When nasb, it makes the noun after it mansub, right? And it is meant for emphasis, right? Alladhina ismu mawsul. It is a connecting noun, right? Mabni ala fatha, as always, but it's in a position of being mansub. Why? Because it is ismu inna. Ismu inna is always mansub. Inna alladhina kafaru. Kafaru is a past tense verb. Fil madi, mabni ala dhamma, right? Because it is attached to it the waw of jama', the waw of the group, and the waw is the damir, it's the fa'il. This is those who did it. Who did it? The waw, those guys. That means the group. Inna alladhina kafaru, right? Min, harf jar, ahli, ismu majroor with a kasra, ahl kitab, mudaf ilayhi with a kasra, wal mushrikeen, wa is a harf atf, al mushrikeen is majroor with a ya, just like above in the first ayat, right? Just as above in the first ayat. Fi, harf jar, nari is an ismu majroor, as we can see the kasra there, and it is mudaf, right? And fi nari is your khabar. Inna. Inna alladhina fi nar. Indeed, those are in the fire. This kafaru up to mushrikeen, this is just all a phrase describing alladhina. Inna alladhina fi nar. Indeed, those are in the fire. Right? Finnar is shibhu jumla, is a phrase which is your khabar. Finari jahannam, mudaf ilay, in the fire of the hellfire. Jahannam is a feminine word, and it is mamnu min as-sarf. It does not take a kasra when it is majroor. It takes a fatha. Right? Khalidina. Khalidina is the hal. How are they going to be in the fire? They're going to be in the fire forever. So it is mansub with a ya. Khalidina fiha. Fi harf jar, ha, damir, muttasil, fi mahal jar. So even though this ha is mabni ala sukoon, it's in a position of being majroor after fi. They are in the hellfire forever. Those who disbelieve from the people of the book and the mushrikeen, they'll be in the hellfire forever. Ulaika hum sharrul bariya. Ulaika is your mubtada, to make it short, because that word can be broken down into two different parts, right? Ulaika is your mubtada in a position of being marfu'. Hum, right, is a pronoun which is detached, and it is basically either a badal for ulaika, or it is a second mubtada, right? It is a second mubtada. And shar is your khabar, right? Hum shar. They are the evil, or the most evil, as we translated it, right? They are the most evil. Hum shar. This is mubtada and this is khabar. And this mubtada and khabar together are the khabar to this mubtada. Right? Ulaika hum sharrul bariyya. Right? And this is sharrul bariyya mudaf ilay majroor with a kasra which is apparent. Any questions?
How did translate that little last part there?
Ulaika, they or those, ulaika, those, hum sharrul bariyya, they are the most evil of creation. Bariyya is creation. Huh? Yeah, it's just emphasis. Those, they are the most evil of creation. Like, look at him. He's the worst. Right? You repeated the pronoun. Look at him. He is.
Yeah. We will repeat it if we did, or you can leave it out. Just at those. They are.
How is it in the Quran? I don't know. How is it in the English translation? I don't know off the top of my head. But I mean, in Arabic, the emphasis is there, and I think if I said he's the most evil of creation, I said him, he's the most evil. I think that it definitely brings an emphasis there that doesn't exist if I don't say it. Right?
No.
So here it says, such ones are the worst of creatures in this translation. And over here it says, if I can see it. Over here it says, they are the worst of creatures. It just translates like you said. They are the worst. But it doesn't give the emphasis, and Allah knows best. Inna is again, inna alladhina. All of these, the grammar is going to be the same. This is a particle which makes the noun after it mansub, and it is meaning emphasis. Alladhina is going to be your ismu inna. Even though it's mabni ala fatta, it is in the position of being mansub for ismu inna. Amanu. Right? Amanu is going to be a past tense verb. The fa'il is going to be that wow. They are the ones who believe. Right? Wa is harf at, meaning and. Amilu, to act. It's a past tense verb. And the fa'il is the wow. Right? Those who do actions. Salihat. Salihat is your maf'ulun bihi. They do what actions do they do? Righteous actions, right? They do righteous actions. It's mansub with a kasra because that's how feminine sound plurals are. They are marfu with a dhamma, and they are mansub and majroor with a kasra. So it's mansub with a kasra here. Wa amilu as-salihat, and they do righteous actions. Ulaika is your mubtada marfu, hum mubtada thani, khayru, they are the best. This is your khabar. And this mubtada and khabar are your khabar to this first one. Khayrul bariyya, mudaf mudaf ilay. Your sign of your mudaf ilay is your kasra there. Majroor. Got it? Inshallah. Jaza'uhum. Jaza'uhum. Jaza' is your mubtada. And it is marfu with a dhamma there. Jaza'uhum. Jaza'uhum. Hum is mudaf ilay, their reward. Inda rabbihim. Inda is a dharf makan. Where is it? It is with their Lord. Inda, right? And it makes the noun following it mudaf ilay. Rabb is mudaf ilay, majroor with a kasra. Rabbihim, again mudaf ilay. And that's how it is. Inda rabbihim. Jannatun. Jannatun is your khabar. This is your khabar. Right? Jaza'uhum. Their reward is what? Jannat. The khabar is always marfu'. The khabar is always marfu'. Jannatu adnin. Mudaf ilay. The sign of it being majroor is the kasra. Gardens of eternity. Aden or Aden here means eternity. Jannatu Adnin, gardens of eternity. Tajri is a fi'l mudari, is a present tense verb. Marfu' The sign of it being marfu' is a dhamma. But because we cannot put a vowel on an alif, and this is an alif maksura, then we don't get to see the dhamma, right? Tajri min, harf jar, tahti, tahti is majroor after min with an obvious kasra. Ha is a dhamir, an attached dhamir, and it is majroor after tahta, right? Tahta, tahti, ha. Al-anhar. Al-anhar is a fa'il, marfu'. Fa'il is always marfu'. It is doing the running. What is doing the running? The gardens, underneath the gardens of eternity, right, are rivers running underneath them. Rivers. The rivers are doing the running. Khalidina is your hal, mansoob with a ya, right? Fiha, harf jar, ism majroor, right? Abada. Abada is a dharf of zaman. It is a dharf of zaman. It is a adverb of time. Meaning, how are they going to be there? Forever. Ever and ever, right? Radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. Radiya is a past tense verb, fil madi, mabni ala fatha. Allahu is ismu lafdul jalala. Fa'il marfu'. Fa'il marfu'. That's why you see the dhamma there. Allah is pleased. Anhum. An, harf jar. Hum is the damir, mudaf ilay. Or ismu majroor rather. Ismu majroor. Although it is mabni ala sukun. Ismu majroor, although it's mabni ala sukun. Anhum. Wa radu an. Wa harf atf. Connecting letter. Radu is a past tense verb. Where is your fa'il? The wow. They are pleased. Wow. Radu. They are pleased. Anhu. With him. Allah is pleased with them and they are pleased with him. Anhu referring back to Allah. An harf jar hu ismu majroor, although it's a damir and it is mabni ala dhamma, it's in a position of being majroor. Dhalika is a mubtada, right? It is a mubtada, even though it's mabni ala fatha, right? It's your mubtada in a position of being marfu'. Liman. Li is a harf jar. Man ismu majroor. Even though it is ismu mawsul, it's in a position of being majroor, but it's mabni ala sukun. Khashiya is a past tense verb, right? Mabni ala fatha. Rabbahu, he fears what? That is for the ones who fear, or that is for the one who khashiya, who feared, or who fears. Khashiya. Rabbahu, fears who? Fears what? Rabbahu. Maf'ulun bihi, mansoob with a fatha there. Rabbahu, mudaf, mudaf ilay. Any questions?
No.
Wallahi, we're going through this quickly. We're going through this quickly. If you followed the Nahu al-Wadih classes or any other classes someone might take, you could follow along. Would you be able to do the i'rab just as quick and stuff? And I'm not doing a complete full i'rab, like, you know, we're just doing it in general to understand the meanings here and why it is. But if a person wanted to go back and break it down and write, you know, jaza'uhum, right? Jaza'uhum, and then write jaza'. What is this? This is this. Hum is this. Inda is this. Rabbuhum. Rabb is this, right? Hum is this. They could go back and do that from our classes, and Allah knows best. You know, they could go back and do that from our classes, and they could understand it. You will be able to understand it. If you have a little bit of foundation of a Nahl Wadi or Ajrumiyah, you should be able to do it. I'm doing it quickly because I'm hoping that the people have some background. If you need help from the beginning in doing i'rab and grammar, then you shouldn't be making i'rab of the Quran in the first place. You should be studying grammar, right? And so that's why we're doing a little bit quick, inshallah ta'ala. طيب. Let's go through and read Al-Alaq. We'll probably only get to the translation today. Right? We'll probably only get through the translation today. I want to go after this, just as a note, after we finish the next, this, not Al-Alaq page, but when we finish At-Teen, and when we finish Ash-Shar, and we finish Ad-Duha. When we finish the next three surahs after Al-Alaq, At-Teen, and the two before that, from there on, inshallah ta'ala, I want to go back to the beginning of Juz Amma, meaning An-Naba. Why? Because number one, the surahs are getting longer, and it's going to be harder and harder to backtrack on the page. So here, when I start here, we're moving forward, and then we're going backwards, right? By starting here. So then I go backwards and I go forward. Then I go backwards and I go forward. It's harder and harder to do that from the middle of a surah. So therefore, what I want to do, inshallah ta'ala, is start at An-Naba, and in that way we won't be backtracking anymore. We'll only be moving forward as soon as we get to that point. So whenever it is that we get to Ad-Duha, which I would hope to have been tomorrow, but that's not going to be the case. Then when we do get there, we're not going to backtrack anymore. We're going to move to An-Naba. Is that okay with everybody? I don't know how else to really do it. طيب. نعم. Okay. Surah Al-Alaq. Al-Alaq comes from Ain Lam Qaf. It means a clot of blood or something which clings. Because a clot of blood, a clot of blood clings, right, to the womb of the woman, right? When the sperm and the egg come together, then it forms like a clot of blood clinging to the woman's womb, right? So this is where the surah gets its name from what is mentioned inside. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Iqra. Iqra is a command verb coming from qara'a yaqra'u, meaning to read. So it's a command. Iqra. Bismi, read in the name or with the name. Ism, name. Rabbika. And we'll explain all the grammar, mudaf, mudaf ilays, and all of this, inshallah ta'ala, at the next point. Iqra bismi rabbika. Read in the name of your Lord. Alladhi, who khalaqa, created. Who created.
Okay, you gonna go over that? I said.
Huh?
Past 10. You gonna go over it? Go ahead.
Yeah. Khalaqal insana min alaq. He created mankind, insan, mankind, min alaq. Min alaq. Have this sticking clot of coagulated blood, they say, right? This sticking clot, right? Iqra, read, wa rabbuka, and your Lord. Rabbuka al-akram. Your Lord is most generous, like the word kareem. We have akram, right? Hasan, ahsan, kabir, akbar. Kareem, akram, most generous, most noble. Read, and your Lord is most generous, most noble, most honorable. Alladhi, the one who. Allama, who taught. Allama is form 2, meaning to teach. Right? Alima is to know. Allama is to teach. Right? Ta'allama is to learn. This is form 5. This is form 2. This is form 1. Right? Allama, he taught. Bil qalam, he taught with the pen. Allama, he taught. Al-insan, who did he teach? Al-insan. Al-qalam is a pen, right? Like the ink pen, right? Ink pen. He taught with the ink pen. Not necessarily looking like that. We don't know how that pen was, but he taught with the ink pen, right? Allam al-insan, he taught mankind. Who did he teach? He taught mankind. Maf'ulun bi, mansub. Ma lam ya'lam. What? Ma here is what? Lam is a negation. Ya'lam. Ya'lamu, to know. Lam ya'lam, he didn't know. He taught him what he didn't know. Kalla. Kalla here, as we said, is a negation. like an emphasis. No, no way. It's not like that. Stop. It's not going to be like that. Kalla. Sometimes they translate it as nay. Right? Nay. Not sure what the Noble Quran translates it as. Here, in this translation, which I have in front of me, it says no. Let me see what he says here. He says here, nay. In the Noble Quran, it says nay. Right? Nay. Inna, indeed, verily, surely, al-insan, mankind, layatgha. The lam here is a lam of emphasis, and yatgha comes from ta, ghain, ya, meaning like the word tagut, right? Which is another one of those words it's hard to translate, right? Tagut, layatgha. He's going to exceed. He's going to exceed the limits. He's going to transgress the bounds. And the tagut might be transgressors. That might be one of the best ways to translate it sometimes. Right? Tagut, those who transgress. Yatgha, he, indeed mankind, he transgresses. And that, right? And we might translate it as because. Ra'ahu, ra'a, meaning to see. He sees who? Right? He sees him. But here it means he sees himself. He sees him. He sees himself. And it doesn't necessarily mean to see here. Ra'a can mean he has the opinion. He thinks. So we could say to, like for instance, I could say, for instance, if I ask you, I come up with an idea that after Surah Al-Duha, we're going to go back to Surah Al-Naba, right? Ma ra'yukum, ma ra'yukum. What is it that you see? Meaning, what is your position? What is your idea? What is your opinion? What is your thought? Right? Ma ra'ya. So ra'ahu, and he transgresses, and ra'ahu astaghna, that he sees himself, or he thinks about himself, astaghna. This is form 10 of ghina, meaning rich. He thinks himself as being rich. He thinks himself as being rich, meaning he don't have any needs. Being rich is not the proper translation. Meaning he thinks he doesn't have any needs. But I'm just showing you, when a person is rich, he doesn't have any needs. I don't need anything. I got everything. I'm rich. Right? This is why the Prophet ﷺ told us that a person who wakes up in the morning and he has enough food for his day and his night, and he's healthy, and a third thing which I forget right now, then it's as if he owns the whole world. It's as if he owns the whole world. He's rich. What else do you need? You have health, right? You have health, and I don't remember the third thing, and you have food for the day. What else do you need today? You're rich, man. You own the world. We should be happy. But this is a person talking about he doesn't need Allah Azza wa Jal. Arahu astaghna. He thinks himself rich. He thinks himself without having any need. Inna, indeed, ila, to rabbika arruj'a. Indeed, to your Lord is arruj'a, from ra, jim, ain, meaning to return. Arruj'a is the return. Indeed, to your Lord is the return. Right? Well, you'll be asked about this. Ara'ayta alladhi yanha. A is to ask a question. Ra'ayta, did you see? Did you see? Ra'ayta alladhi, the one who yanha, from nahi, to prohibit. Did you see the one who he prohibits? Present tense verb. He prohibits. He prohibits who? A slave. Idha salla, when he prays. Here, this is talking about Abu Jahl, when he used to try to prohibit the Prophet ﷺ from praying at the Kaaba. Have you seen the one who prohibits the slave when he prays? Idha, when, salla, when he prays. Right? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now talking to us and to the kuffar. Ara'ayta, do you see? In kana, in is if, kana alal huda, he was on guidance. This person that you're stopping, what if he was on guidance? What if he was on guidance from your Lord. O amara, or he was commanded, bitaqwa, or he was commanded, or he commands rather, or he was commanded, O amara, or he commands with righteousness. This person, he's commanding with righteousness. He's commanding with taqwa. Right? What about this? Don't you see? What if this person you're preventing is upon guidance, or he's commanding with taqwa? Ara'ayta, do you see? In kadhaba wa tawalla, do you see that if he believes or runs away? Here, he's not talking about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? He's talking about the person who disbelieves or denies, belies the truth. Kadhaba, who belies, who deems something false to deny it. Not that he's lying, but he's saying something is a lie, right? He's denying it, which is kufr. So in some translation, it says he disbelieves, and some says he belies. Ara'ayta in kadhaba wa tawalla, if he disbelieves, if he denies, wa tawalla, from, we had this word inside of Nawaqid al-Islam, tawalla, to turn away, tawalla, to turn away, and he turns away. Alam, question, alam ya'lam, does he not know? Bi anna, that Allah, bi anna is one word, even though it's made up of bi plus anna, right? We're not going to say with anna, we're going to say bi anna, we're just going to translate that as that, right? Bi anna Allah yara, does he not know that Allah sees? Does he not know that Allah sees? If he denies the truth when it comes to him, the message, and he turns away, does he not know that Allah sees? Kalla. Nay, no, it's not like that at all. La'in here is a little bit difficult to translate, right? La'in, here the lam is of emphasis. In here is an if, basically. La'in, if la, as we said, emphasis, and I'm not able to translate the emphasis here. La'in, if he doesn't, lam yantahi. Yantahi, again, from this word, right? Nahi, but this is form 7. Right? With a ta in there. Intaha. Nahi means to prohibit or to prohibit. Yantahi means to stop. Yantahi. Intaha. Intaha. Yantahi. Right? Yantahi. And this has no ya here because of the lam. The ya is missing, and we'll go over that in the grammar of it. Because of the lam, then the ya is dropped. Lam yantahi. If he doesn't stop, right? If he doesn't stop, lanasfa'an. Lanasfa'an. La is again a lam of emphasis. The noon here means we are going to do it. The root here is sa-fa-ain. Not a line. Yeah, sa-fa-ain. Safa'a. You're not going to find this. You're not going to find this in the Hans Word Dictionary. You'll find this root, but you're not going to find the meaning of it is in the Quran. They do not have it translated in the Hans Word Dictionary for the meaning that we find here in the Quran. Safa'a means to grab or to snatch. If you look it up in the Hans Word Dictionary, it's going to mean like to burn, having to do with like a sunburn and the skin becoming red due to burning and heat. But to scorch, right? To scorch like this. But here it means to snatch. In the Quranic context here, it means to snatch. So the Hans Word Dictionary is not going to help you here. لَنَسْفَعًا بِالنَّاصِيَةِ. An-nasiya comes from noon, sad, ya. And the the word nasiya, right? This is his nasiya. This hair on the front of his forehead. Right? لَنَصْفَعًا بِالنَّاسِيَةِ. Now I'm going to go into this grammar inshallah ta'ala tomorrow, but this is a noon of tawkeed. This is a noon of emphasis, khafifa, but it's written with an alif instead of the noon. It's written as a tanween. It's written with an alif with the tanween instead of the noon. It's written like that twice in the Quran. We'll go over that tomorrow inshallah ta'ala. Right? لَنَصْفَعًا بِالنَّاسِيَةِ. He's going to snatch him and drag him by his forelock. Meaning he's going to throw him into the hellfire by that. He's going to pick him up. Can you imagine being picked up by the hair? SubhanAllah. And thrown into the and it don't matter if you shave your head close or shave your head bald. Allah is still going to snatch you by that. Have them angels snatch you by it and have you thrown. Nasiyatin, that forelock. Kadhibatin, that lying. Kadhiba, it's feminine because nasiya is feminine. Khati'ah, mistaken, lying, sinful. Khati'ah can mean mistake, but a lot of times when it's used to mean a sin too. Right? It's used to mean a sin. And none of us, even though we might sin on purpose, none of us really sin on purpose. Right? None of us would ever look at Allah in his face and say, I'm going to do it anyway. We do it by mistake. Mistake in our aqidah at that time. We're weak. We have a mistake in our thought that Allah might forgive us, that he's going to give us time to repent, whatever the case might be. It's a mistake, even though it's a sin. Nasiyatin kadhibatin khatiya. He's going to grab him by his lying, sinful forelock. فَلْيَدْعُ نَادِيَةً. فَلْيَدْعُ. Fal is a command. Fa, so, the lamb is a lamb of command. Then let him call. Yad'u. From, like the word dua. Then let him call. Nadiyahu. Nadi comes from Nun Dal Ya. Or Alaf Maksura. Meaning, like the word nida. Like the adhan is called a nida. It's a call. So it comes from there. But the word nadi is like a club. It's a clubhouse, a golf, a resort. The people will come together and they sit around and they talk. A meeting place where they get together and discuss the important affairs of the community hall or something. I'm not sure what else it might be called, right? Probably every group has their own name. The Shriners probably have a name, and these people have a name. Anyway, the clubhouse, the meeting room. فَلْيَدْعُ نَادِيَهُ. It says let him call on his clubhouse or his group, but it means his council. His council, that's a good word. His council, right? But it doesn't mean the room or the place, but it means those people in there. Let him call on them to help him, right? We're going to snatch him. Abu Jahl wants to call on his people to help him. سَنَدْعُ الزَّبَانِيَةِ. Sa is sofa in the future. Nedu. We're going to call الزَّبَانِيَةِ. الزَّبَانِيَةِ is from za-ba-noon. But here it means to be a customer or something like this. But here it doesn't mean that. This root means that. Right? This root means to be close or to be a customer or something. But Zabaniya is a special name for those angels who throw the people into the hellfire. Why do they have that name? I haven't come across it. I don't know. But this is why it come from that root. But this is the name of those people who will throw the angels who will throw those people into the hellfire. Sanad'u az-Zabaniya. We're going to call those. You call your group, we'll call our Zabaniya. Kalla. No. Here Allah Azza wa Jalla is talking to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. La, negation. La tu'tihu. From ta'a, the word obedience. Right? La tu'tihu. Do not obey him. Do not obey him. Meaning do not listen to him. If he tries to stop you from praying in the Masjid al-Haram, la tu'tihu. Do not obey him. Do not listen to him. Do not give him any attention. Wasjud. And make sajda, a command. This is a command. Wasjud, make sajda, pray. Waqtarib, and get close to your Lord. Meaning you come close to the house. You don't have to pray in your house anymore. You don't have to pray on the outskirts of the city. Come close to the Kaaba, no problem. Wasjud waqtarib. Waqtarib again comes from qaf ra ba, meaning to get close, right? This is form 7. It's a command verb, right? And this means to make sajda whenever you recite it. If you're listening to someone and you're not reciting and they make sajda, then you make sajda too, right?
No.
Now, real quickly, we'll go over the tafsir. There's not much to it, inshallah ta'ala, just what to comment on. First thing, these first 5 ayat are the first 5 ayat from that were revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. First 5 ayat of the Quran. Allah told him to read, right? And to read in the name of his Lord, to seek help in his Lord, to seek help in the name of his Lord in everything, right? The one who created mankind from what we know, right? Only Allah Azza wa Jalla is able to create us from sperm, right? And egg. Only Allah is able to do that, right? Read in your name of your Lord. He's the most generous. He is the most generous by teaching us how to read and write. How to read and write. And we can see, right, in these first 5 ayah, Allah commanded us with reading and with writing. He taught us the use of the pen. He commanded us with reading and writing. We should be learning. We should be studying. We should be teaching. The best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it. We should be reading and writing. Reading is studying. Writing is teaching. Right? Alam al-insana ma lam ya'lam. He taught mankind that which he didn't know. Right? But mankind, he's always he thinks that he don't need anybody else. He thinks, I got enough money, I'm strong, I can do it on my own, I'm smart, I got enough provisions, I got enough people around me, people scared of me, people like me, whatever the case, he doesn't need it, right? And he forgets that to his Lord is the return. And this is why Allah Azza wa Jal, and Allah knows best, he put the khabar before the mubtada. To your Lord is the return. The return is to your Lord. But he put to your Lord. You're not returning to anybody except him. The way of putting ila rabbika is the same way of putting iyyaka na'budu. You alone we worship. To your Lord is the return. Only to your Lord and no one else. You're not returning to Al-Lat and Al-Uzza and Al-Manat. You're returning to your Lord, Allah Azza wa Jal. Have you not seen the one who prevents, and this is we said is Abu Jahl, and the Abd idha Salla is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what if the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was on guidance? He's on pure guidance, and he's commanding people with taqwa. He's commanding people with ikhlas and tawheed and doing righteous actions, trying to prevent them from the hellfire. Why are you trying to prevent him? And he's only trying to prevent them from harm. Why are you preventing him? أَرَأَيْتَ إِنْ كَذَّبَ وَتَوَلَّى. Do you not see that if he turned and if he denied and turned away, meaning Abu Jahl, he denies what came to him from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he turns away from Iman. That does he not know that Allah sees him? Does he not know that Allah sees him? So how can he be so bold to do what he's doing? Right? كَلَّا لَإِن لَمْ يَنْتَهِ. If he doesn't stop from this pestering the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from trying to pray and call the people to Tawheed, لَنَسْفَعًا بِالنَّاسِيَةِ. Then we're going to snatch him by his forelock. And we said that's the front of the hair. نَاسِيَةٍ كَاذِبَةٍ خَاطِيَةٍ. The lying, sinful forelock, right? And the scholars of modern day science, they say, right, that this place on the forehead is the place for lying. This is the part of the brain which the lying comes from. And so this is one of the miracles of the Quran. Nasiyatin kadhibatin khati'ah. That this lying, sinful forelock, this is where the lying comes from, in the front of the head, right? فَلْيَدْعُ نَادِيَ. Let him call his people. It is said, and I don't know if the hadith is authentic or not, but it is said that Abu Jahl said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you challenge us? And we have the biggest council in the valley. You challenge us and we have the biggest council in the valley. Then Allah revealed this ayah. And Allah knows best if it's true. Right? So Allah said, I'm going to call on these angels for ghiladu shiddad. They're severe in their obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal. They're going to take him and throw him into the hellfire. Don't obey him. La tu'tihu. Don't listen to him. Don't abandon salat. Don't abandon the call to tawheed. Keep calling the people to taqwa and pray to us. Pray to us without giving him any kind of thought. And don't worry about him. And come close to the Kaaba and come close to us with obedience and come close to us with the call to Islam. Are there any questions?
No.
Inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow we'll be able to finish the i'rab of this as well as ateen, since ateen is much shorter. And then the next day we will do, inshallah ta'ala, ash-sharh and ad-duha. And from there we're going to move on. The next day we're going to do ash-sharh and ad-duha. And the next day we're going to move on to an-naba and start from there. Anyway, the scholars divide the Quran up into sections, the long surahs, the medium surahs, so on. In the end, when you get to the short surahs, they say the short of the short surahs start at ad-duha. So that'll be a good breaking point. From ad-duha to the end are the short of the short surahs, and then we'll go from an-naba to ad-duha. Tayyib, as always, most of you guys have my email or WhatsApp. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, suggestions, corrections, whatever, you can WhatsApp me or I come here or email me, and I come here at 1:30. So if you come early, then I'm here, inshallah ta'ala. I'm sorry for going over, but I wanted to try to complete this today. Allah yabarak fikum. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.